Welcome to the Dark Feminine Code, where we don't chase, we become. Let's talk about something that might completely change the way you see yourself, your habits, and even your growth. There's this idea called Morphic Resonance, introduced by Rupert Sheldrake. And don't worry, it sounds complicated, but I'm going to explain it in the simplest way possible. So first, imagine this. What if you're not starting from zero in life? What if every time you try to become better, you're not actually building everything from scratch? What if somehow the version of you you're trying to become already exists somewhere? That's the core idea behind Morphic Resonance. It says that whenever something happens again and again, a behavior, a habit, a way of thinking, doesn't just disappear. It leaves behind a kind of pattern, almost like an invisible memory. Now here's the interesting part. These patterns don't just stay with one person. They exist in something called a field. Think of it like an invisible network around us, where all these patterns are stored. Not physically, not something you can see, but something that influences things quietly. So every time a person learns something new, or develops a habit, or changes their mindset, they're not just changing their own life. They're also adding to this field. And the more a pattern is repeated, the stronger it becomes. Let's make this really simple. Have you noticed how some things feel easier to learn now, compared to before? Like social media, trends, even certain skills. First, when something is new, it's difficult. People struggle. But as more and more people start doing it, it becomes easier for others. Almost like the path is already created. That's what Morphic Resonance is trying to explain. That learning is not always completely individual. Sometimes you're tapping into something that already exists. There's also a famous example people talk about, called the 100th monkey effect. The story goes that a group of monkeys learned to wash their food before eating it. And after a certain number of monkeys learned this behavior, suddenly monkeys on other islands started doing the same thing. Now, to be honest with you, this story is debated. Not everyone agrees it happened exactly like that. But the idea behind it is powerful. It suggests that once a behavior becomes strong enough, it can spread beyond direct teaching. Now let's bring this back to you, because this is where it gets really interesting. That version of you dream about. The confident one. The successful one. The calm, healed, secure version of you. What if she's not impossible? What if she's not something you have to force into existence? What if she already exists as a pattern? 'Cause think about it. There are people in this world who are already confident, already successful, already living the kind of life you want. So that version of you is not unrealistic. It's already real. And according to this idea, you can start aligning with that version. Now this doesn't mean magic. This doesn't mean you just sit and think and everything changes. It means something more grounded. It means your thoughts, your habits, your emotions. They are like signals. And depending on what you repeat, you strengthen certain patterns in your own life. For example, if you keep thinking, I'm not good enough, that pattern becomes stronger. Not just mentally but in your behavior too. You hesitate more. You doubt more. You hold yourself back. But if you slowly start changing that, even in small ways, like telling yourself, maybe I can do this, and actually trying, you start building a new pattern. First, it feels uncomfortable, almost fake, like it's not you. But that's only because you're used to the old pattern. With time, repetition, and consistency, the new pattern starts feeling natural. And this is where the idea of morphic resonance becomes comforting, because it suggests you're not alone in this process. Every person who has ever worked on themselves, every person who has healed, grown, improved, has contributed to these patterns. So when you try to become better, you're not the first one. You're stepping into something that has already been built before. Now let's talk about something important. Why do some changes feel easy, and some feel really hard? This theory gives an interesting explanation. Some patterns are stronger because more people have lived them, so they feel easier to access. And some patterns are hard to break, because you've been repeating them for years. So it's not just about willpower. It's also about what you've practiced the most. And this is actually empowering, 'cause it means, if you can repeat something long enough, you can change your pattern. You can shift from self-doubt to confidence, from fear to clarity, from overthinking to calmness. Not overnight, but gradually. And every time you choose better, even in a small moment, you're reinforcing that new version of yourself. Another beautiful part of this idea is this. You are not just receiving from the field. You are also contributing to it. Every time you grow, you make it slightly easier for someone else to grow too. Your healing matters. Your improvement matters. Not just for you, but in a bigger way. Now let's keep this grounded. Morphic resonance is still a theory. It's not something that is fully proven in science. Many scientists question it. Some find it interesting. But even if you don't take it literally, the idea behind it is still powerful, because it shifts your mindset from, I'm alone in this, to, I'm part of something bigger. And that alone can change how you see your journey. So the next time you feel stuck, like nothing is working, like you're starting from zero, remember this. Maybe you're not starting from zero. Maybe you're just learning to align with a different version of yourself. A version that already exists. A version that is possible. A version that you're slowly becoming. And you don't need to rush it. You don't need to force it. You just need to keep choosing it. Again and again. Because growth is not just about effort. It's also about what you repeat, what you believe, and what you align with. And slowly, quietly, naturally, you become it.